Welcome to All Change, the programme that puts design at the heart of the learning experience. Today we're at Christ Church Primary School in Birmingham, where we're going to be helping a newly qualified teacher make improvements to her Year 4 classroom. An expectation of any primary school teacher is that they use their classroom effectively to promote learning. For an NQT, that can be quite a challenge. Creating different areas for defined activities and producing engaging displays is a skill that needs to be learnt. Over a single weekend, All Change will be working with an NQT and her school community to improve her classroom and create a flexible and colourful learning space.
Christ Church Primary School is in one of Birmingham's most deprived areas. An elderly concrete and steel design with an outdated layout presents staff with challenges. We'll be helping NQT Amy Dutton to create a more effective learning space in her Year 4 classroom. And also in today's All Change, we'll be visiting architects who have designed a futuristic prefabricated primary school, built off-site and then delivered on a lorry. We'll be going to a school for Dutch students in Woking, which was designed around a central communal space. And we'll be providing some ideas for sourcing a range of science teaching aids. Amy Dutton is an NQT with a Year 4 class. As part of her personal action plan, worked up with her mentor, Christ Church's deputy head, Amy has been tasked with providing a purposeful learning environment. Providing children with effective display material is a key part of Amy's challenge. All Change will be working with her to improve the zoning of her classroom in areas used for reading, for maths, science and literacy.
Amy, as a newly qualified teacher, tell me about your personal development objectives.
Well, main objective is classroom environment. So I'm hoping that by the end of your visit, the areas will be defined. So they'll have a reading area, somewhere they can go and do their own thing. They'll have the learning prompts, and they'll be colourful and bright, and the children will just be a little bit happier in the room, and it'll help me because I'll be able to carry it forward into my next year, and if I move classrooms again, I can use some of the ideas and move them forward.
The classroom is the main environment, it's the main focus of our day-to-day life, and as an experienced teacher, it's built up and it's just there as part of what you do. For an NQT, it's very important to get it right, and so you guys are in, it's fantastic, so it's a really big push for that objective on Amy's action plan.
Our architect, Marco de Cruz, visited Christ Church to discuss his ideas for transforming Amy's classroom with Anna Bolson, the deputy head teacher.
We've got the concrete column there, and it's all quite nicely defined, isn't it? You've got the glazing there as well, and you know this sort of subgrid on the ceiling. So it's quite interesting. We might pick up on that in the design of the space, because there's already a module sort of in the space. So we really need to acknowledge that, I think.
Marco's practice, Shalanda de Cruz Architects in Birmingham, worked up his design after the visit to the school. Marco and his partner, Maria Shalanda, then returned to Christ Church to brief our project manager, John Craig.
Is that going to be used as a pinboard as well?
One of the major things that we picked up when we spoke to Amy, who's using the space at the moment, is that it's got to be really flexible. And what we've tried to create is something that contrasts with the geometry of what we set up on the walls. And it's this little boomerang thing that you can see. It's like a multi-function divider, shelving, display unit.
They needed to create little reading and sitting areas, and now we can actually do that to create little quiet corners, and the space can be flexible and they can move it around and have little reading areas and little quiet areas for group work.
John, we're in Amy's classroom and she's got quite specific needs around her learning spaces given that she's a newly qualified teacher.
We've got 4 classrooms in one, to be honest. At the moment over here we have a maths corner, but that's going to change into a reading corner. As we move along behind us here, we have an interactive whiteboard. At the moment it's too high so the children can't actually use it, so that has to be dropped down as well. We then take over the maths corner over to that section. Right in front of us here we have literacy, and over here we're going to have science. At the moment it's a case of you can't see the wood for the trees. It's all clutter, and we need to make less is more and define these areas so the children can actually relate to them a lot easier. And for a change, we're not going to do a totally white classroom as well. I mean, these are youngsters, so we're going to have white walls but yellow walls. Also, Amy has no desk here, no storage or anything like that, so we want to create an area over there to give us some storage space for herself as well.
And to help define the various classroom areas, you're going to create a mobile storage unit?
This mobile screen is like a boomerang, really, but it's got shelving in it and it's got casters so it can be wheeled around to define a particular area. It looks rather complex, but I'm sure it'll come out very nicely and very simply.
It's going to be very different. I can't wait to see what it looks like.
The school community threw themselves into clearing out Amy's classroom. She'll be replacing her device for encouraging pupils to keep good standards of behaviour.
Every week, the children get 20 minutes extra fun time outside to do whatever they want with.
Right.
And every child starts off with 20 minutes on the sun, so they start with a positive.
Yeah.
And then if they don't follow school rules, or they do something wrong, or they're not working hard enough, or something inappropriate, they get to lose up to 20 minutes on the cloud. And when we go outside or we stay inside, those children who've lost time on the cloud have to sit out and watch the other children play.
Right, so it's a behaviour management tool.
Yeah.
Visitors to Christ Church School are confronted with a rather shabby set of buildings, something of an embarrassment to the school's head teacher.
As you reach the entrance, it just doesn't look very nice. It's getting a bit grotty and it's getting a little bit dirty, although we do try, our caretaker makes fantastic efforts of putting lots of flowers around it in the summer. But you come to it and it doesn't actually look like a school. So that has issues for when we're trying to attract parents to bring their children in. You've then got to walk all the way around the school, following the little footprints that have faded out to get to the main playground and the office. But it's getting on, it's old. It has flat roofs that the water runs off sometimes, and there are certainly temperature issues in some of the classrooms. It can be too hot, too cold.
Project manager John Craig, helped by John, the school caretaker, began to work on the boomerang room divider. Year 2 teacher Lauren Knight worked with Amy's pupils to make a new sun and cloud for the classroom. Staff washed off the old paint from the windows, ready for the new colour scheme.
Karen, you've come in to help this weekend. I know you're the Special Educational Needs Coordinator in the school. Tell me what helps children with special educational needs to learn.
Well, we have considerable learning support teachers within the classroom, and zoning off the areas to allow them to work as a group is great, and having things that are around the room that are visual, and perhaps some space for listening, auditory sort of learning.
This type of prefabricated school building design generally has a poor reputation for being cold, dark and damp. They don't really make good learning environments. But with developments in off-site construction and better quality materials, we're beginning to see houses and even blocks of flats built in this way. Marks Barfield, architects involved in the government's Building Schools for the Future programme, have developed a prefabricated primary school, which is an exciting and flexible learning environment. Designers of the London Eye, Marks Barfield Architects, have been working on schools projects for the past 4 years. Their approach to new schools emphasises high-quality materials, and they're influenced by the durability of Victorian architecture.
It's just so important to learn the lessons and not make the same mistakes that were made in the 60s. And particularly, you know, I think they're to do with having additional space for flexibility and change, and building to the right quality, you know, so that they're actually going to stand the test of time. Similar to these Victorian schools, which were built to a very high quality, and, you know, they're going to be there for another 100 years. You know, there's no problem about that. Whereas a lot of the 60 schools are actually, you know, probably going to be demolished and actually we're going to have to start again.
Their design for Schools for the Future is built around prefabrication and off-site construction techniques. But don't prefabs have a very bad reputation?
The perceptions of off-site construction are that it's prefabs, you know, that put in the playground when you've run out of space and it's poor quality space. But actually, the reality now is that you can actually produce very high quality off-site construction, and it's being done. I mean, there's a system called the Huff House where 3 people in a factory in Germany produce houses that are put up in a week to the highest quality. So, I mean, this is the kind of inspiration, and that's the kind of quality that we're looking at, because the number of schools that need to be put up in a very short period of time is huge, and it really makes sense to look at off-site construction to keep the cost down and the quality up.
In essence, their design is for a flat-pack school, delivered by a lorry. It's flexible and built to a very high standard of construction.
Learning from Victorian schools, there's great benefits from having high ceilings. So what we've done is we've got a high section and a low section where you've got additional light from the top, north light, because the orientation of the classroom is very important to avoid overheating, but also to encourage the throw-through of air so that it could be naturally ventilated. And then this shows the kind of 2-classroom block that could be fitted together in many different ways, and it shows the flexibility. You can see the main teaching space here, the corridor space, and these additional spaces that can be slotted in or not, depending on whether they're required, and also these walls that can move and utilise the circulation space that would otherwise be unused. This shows how the plan can be adapted to many different sites. But the idea in all of them is that there would be a central space that could be used almost like a kind of meadow garden. And then to the drawing of a truck, showing the way the whole concept has been brought to site.
At Christchurch School, NQT Amy Dutton's Year 4 classroom is a hive of activity as staff and parents redecorate. It's out with the old blackboard surround, and Lauren Knight now has children printing out name cards for the sun and cloud chart. Amy's teaching assistant, Fuzana Minas, is on hand to help out as John Craig cuts out the shapes for the boomerang.
I think the boomerang idea will help Fuzana because then she can section her group off away from the rest of the class. I'll focus on them. Fuzana will be behind the boomerang, if you like, working with her group, so they're kind of still in the room but sectioned away so they can concentrate on what Fuzana's trying to teach them.
These temporary buildings are home to Christchurch's Learning Centre, which provides for both adult education and primary classes in a zoned teaching space.
Kay, we're in the Learning Centre. Tell me how you set this room out.
Well, when I was given this room in September, the main problem was the noise. We had a lot of groups in here at one time, and the children were finding it very difficult to concentrate and focus on what work they were doing. So we came up with the idea of having partitions into the room. And we made this section, this zone here, mainly for Year 1 to come out and have booster groups in here, and a small area where they can sit and read. We've got a small library set up over there. So we tried to make it as bright and colourful as possible.
And this area here?
Yeah, and we allocated this area here to Class 2. We designated each area and each board space to that teacher so they could put up their own posters, their own key vocabulary around to help the children who come out for booster classes.
And behind us?
Behind us here, we also have some Key Stage 2 children come to work in here, so we needed some larger tables and an area where they could come. We also have parents who come in and use this room, so we've got the larger tables here for the parents. So each zone is separated by the partitions, and it makes it easier to concentrate, keeps the noise down, and it's a much more workable room.
A parent governor runs the adult education courses, which are held alongside classes for children.
While parents are accessing training in the room, we have groups of children who are actually working in the other zones. And I think it's a positive experience for both children and the adults to actually see parents seeing the adult, the way the children are being taught and how they take on training in school, but also for children to see some of their mums actually taking part in community classes as well in their school.
Because you run a number of courses in here, don't you?
We do, yes. We have 3 programmes running at the moment, ESOL, Holistic Health and Beauty, and the Driving Theory course.
So, John, this is the famous boomerang.
The famous, difficult boomerang. Simple, really, isn't it? The idea is, obviously, with the wheels on it, the casters on it, is that they can move it around the room as a kind of a divider. But as well as the divider, also it's bookshelves. So, of course, as they whiz it over, a bit of boomerang, it'll come straight back to you.
I didn't actually believe it was possible, having seen the drawings, but you've done it.
So far. Wait till you see the other side, it's even better.
Deputy Head Teacher Anna Bolson took charge of repainting the windows. She's stenciling an inspirational slogan and viewing portholes which will allow children to see outside. New displays start to go up, and John Craig needs a decision on Amy's new storage unit.
If you've got our wardrobe, like so, kind of wardrobe, because Amy's going to have the top, and the children hopefully have the bottom, so I need something like that.
Yes, that's great, yeah.
You're happy to go along with that?
Yes, let's get the job on the way.
So, Helen, what's this room used for?
This room was, well, it's the deputy's office. It was my office. And believe it or not, this was my desk. I used to put my computer on here, over by a socket over there, and work from this.
You're joking.
No, it was. It's also used by our foundation children. That's the 3 to 5 year olds. And we could have a group of about 20 children in here working. As you can see, all the displays on the wall. So at that time, nobody else can use it as an office. It's also been used for some mentoring groups as well. It's just a nightmare. There's even a fridge over there.
And you're that short of space that you have to use this room for that many different things?
Yes. We need to use every little bit of space we've got.
You've got everything in here. You've got a fridge, you've got a filing cabinet, you've got
a sink, some hoops.
But you need all these things. You need the fridge and the sink for your foundation.
Yes, there's nowhere else they can put it, and they're going to use it for making ice and doing things with the children. So I've inherited that as well.
Just a bit of a problem area all round then.
Yeah, terrible.
The use of large indoor spaces in schools is becoming an increasingly important design feature, creating communal areas and light. We've been to visit a Dutch-speaking school in Woking, Prince Willem-Alexander, where they've incorporated a large atrium in a primary school design. Prince Willem-Alexander School in Woking was built in 1992 by the oil company Shell to provide for children of its Dutch employees. It delivers a Dutch curriculum in a purpose-built environment designed by British architects. Several staff are British.
Can you make sure you're going to go in a straight line?
At the heart of the school is this atrium space.
The atrium is a device for moderating the climate in this country, allowing children space inside the building, which is light and airy, warm in the winter, relatively comfortable in the summer. It also acts as a chimney for the ventilation system in the school. The warmth that's generated in the atrium rises, goes out through the roof and draws air through the classroom, so it's a natural ventilation device.
It's used as a kind of meeting point for pupils and parents, especially, of course, in the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. And also when teachers have certain activities in certain classes, it's also a kind of meeting point to start from the atrium one, go into, for instance, a library or the ICT room.
The English language teaching takes place here, in a space flooded by natural light.
It's a very open school and very light and very airy and very fresh, and all the downstairs classrooms have direct access to the garden or the playground, which is actually very nice, and in the summer some of the lessons can be taken straight outside. And I think that helps to give quite a free atmosphere in the school, a disciplined but free learning environment.
The library was built oversized to provide both for the school and for the growing Dutch community who have been attracted to the Woking area. And the architects put child scale features into the classroom designs to help pupils feel more comfortable.
The child scale is represented by the edges of the atrium, which are low relative to the rest of the building, the size of the spaces themselves, corridors just the right width, not too wide, not too narrow, to make the children feel comfortable yet not bump into each other. Elements such as windows and doors are also designed to be child scale.
There's a very nice atmosphere in the school, I think, because of the space, because of the light, and that's very important for our education too. It's not only teaching, but also the atmosphere in the school is very important.
A new storage unit will provide space for Amy Dutton and her Year 4 pupils.
John, how's it going?
It's going well, actually. I mean, this unit is now up. We're just going to work out to get the doors on there, and then we're going to get that painted. Interactive whiteboard has to go up on the wall over there, and then, of course, we want to colour code where the reading area is and also the maths area. I think it's going to be pink and black. Over here, we started with the display units. This is the science area, what they're about to learn, what they're learning, and what they have learned and not to forget.
Now, the windows are quite different. Tell me about those.
Well, there's some frosting, that band of frosting that's going right the way down the bottom. Within the colouring, rather than just leaving it blank, we've done some inspirational lettering. And then it's tidy up time and dressing time, and everything will be done and dusted.
And bringing the boomerang in.
The boomerang, yes, that's to come. It's still being painted at the moment.
NQT Fiona Henderson painted the boomerang, which has shelves for learning resources. And two Christchurch dads put together a book storage unit for the reading area.
What do you think of what we've been doing here?
I think it's absolutely a brilliant idea. I mean, like what's been happening at the moment is absolutely superb.
And your child's going to be using this room next year?
Yes, my daughter's going to use this classroom, yeah. She's year 3.
And what do you think she'll think of the new colours?
Yeah, she will be happy. I'm very sure that. And I'm happy for us as a parent also.
And it's great to see parents coming in and getting involved in this kind of thing.
It's a good project, really. We are very, very delighted to be part of this, really.
Delivering an inspiring science curriculum can often mean using equipment which demonstrates the complex structure of plants and animals. Here are some ideas for teaching aids which might help bring your science lesson to life. There's a huge range of products available to help students with observation and visualisation in science. This is a cheap way of getting up close with creepy crawlies. This allows students to see what happens under the soil. Microscopes for primary and secondary use. These tunics show your insides. This model shows the effects of disease. Charts and posters need to be bright and clear. This logger has software to help process data. Large scale can help understanding. And seeing blood flow can bring the heart to life. The British Educational Suppliers Association have a code of practice which their members comply with. You can find details of all these products on the Teachers TV website.
At Christchurch, books for the reading zone are being sorted, and some artwork for the boomerang.
Yeah, we're going to print them off, use them to do your own drawings, and then we're going to print out your digital photographs and stick them onto your drawings. You've got that.
There was a great community spirit right across the weekend to get the new zoned Year 4 classroom finished on time. John Craig did have to crack the whip a bit, mind you.
I hate to be an ogre, but we've still got paint to finish. All these displays are going to be done, all the furniture and everything displayed out. But Amy's classroom has got 1 hour to do it.
provides Amy and her class with a brighter and more functional space. It's going to be much easier for groups of children to work in separate areas of the room, and the boomerang divider gives additional flexibility. The reading area has been tidied up and its displays made clearer. And the lowered whiteboard is in a much less cluttered visual field. Zoning the wall displays has made them a more effective learning resource.
John, you've done it again. It looks great. How did it go?
Actually, a lot better than I thought. You always think, oh, this is going to be quite a tough one. Because, of course, it's 4 rooms in one, really. And I think the whole idea is to break each section of the room down so the children can identify the numeracy, the literacy, the science, the reading areas, because it was very cluttered before, and it was trying to sort of try and take a lot of that out so the children could actually focus on their particular section of room.
And you've had lots of help this weekend, haven't you?
Yes, everybody jumped in to help, you know, from the school governor to, you know, the children were even here. They were going around clearing up after all the mess I was making. They all had their sort of part to play, and they played it really, really well. Whether it be painting, whether doing the displays. I mean, Amy was the boomerang behind, of course, all the artwork, the kangaroos, the children's photos. There's just too much to remember, really.
And you couldn't have done it without them?
Not at all.
At the heart of the design was the reconfiguring of wall displays to produce a purposeful learning environment. The room was transformed with a budget of around £600. A colourful book storage unit was installed. John Craig built the low-cost cupboards. And the boomerang didn't break the bank. Nor did the functional window decoration.
So, Amy, if I had a clothes peg with your name on it, would I be putting you on the sun or the cloud after this weekend?
Hopefully on the sun.
Do you like what's happened in your room?
Yeah, I really do. It's made big changes, really big, especially now we've got a definite science area, definite literacy area, a numeracy area, and the reading corner.
And we've given you some new storage as well.
Yeah, storage is great. Somewhere to store my things, the children's things. It's great.
And the room divider, the boomerang, is that going to make a difference?
Yeah, it's fantastic because it'll help, especially my teaching assistant, work with her focus group while I have the rest of the class, or me if I want to focus with a group. So just keep that group really focused and concentrating.
And Helen, what do you think of it?
I think it's absolutely fantastic. I particularly like the windows over there. It says, our world, be inspired. And when it's daylight, they're going to be able to see the sky and the trees, which will be absolutely wonderful. Really, thank you ever so much. This has made a huge difference to this room, and it's given us great ideas for the rest of the school.
And thank you. If you've been involved in a recent design project or would like help transforming an area of your school, All Change would love to hear from you. You can contact us through the Teachers TV website, where you'll find details of today's programme. We've had a great time at Christ Church School. It's goodbye from All Change.